Please be advised that neither Katie nor myself are medical doctors or physicians. If you are seeking advice on GLP1s, please consult your physician. Welcome to another episode of The Fit Frequency. I'm your host, Doug Wattenshade, today we have special guest Katie Pitts with us, a longtime member and has a very impressive fitness and health journey with us. So I definitely wanted to get her on the show to chat with us about what she's doing now, where she started, and everything. So without further ado, Katie, welcome.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. When you started at Delaware Fit Factory, or maybe even before that.
Yeah, so my CrossFit journey actually began in 2014, and I was at CrossFit New Albany. Just a little shout out to them, but they were awesome. I loved being there. I was there for about 7 to 8 years probably, and like a lot of people that kind of got hit in 2020, everything just sort of fell apart, and I don't know, maybe I was a little burned out, maybe I was just tired, maybe I was looking for something different, I don't know, but slowly I stopped exercising, and that became a full stop of exercising for a couple years, and then we moved to Delaware. And we were probably living here about a year, and I started stalking you guys on the internet and also in person, where I would just drive by. I'm like, I need to go there. And I drive by and I'm like, no, I can't go there. Even though I already did the whole, I'm nervous to go to CrossFit before. And I knew how it would turn out. It would turn out great. But so I did that for several months before I finally was like, okay, I need to go because it's a good decision. And so I've been here for 2 years. I am a teacher. I am not a professional athlete. I'm not a huge competitor. I just want to come in and do a workout and get better at stuff. And so that's what I'm doing.
Very cool. And I remember you going through on-ramp, and I was absolutely amazed at it's always great when we have people that are familiar. Not only did you understand the difference between a clean and a snatch, but I didn't really need to teach you much of anything for those. It was great. Yeah. It was really awesome. And then just seeing you quickly get into class and all of that, it was a lot of fun for me as a coach right out of the gate. And I think all of our other coaches would say the same thing. So tell us a little bit about, so you had COVID. We all had COVID.
Yes.
It was, we were all, I used this on the last podcast, the last episode, so forgive me for repeating myself. We were all in the same waters. We had different boats, but we were all dealing with some stuff because of COVID. What was the turning point? So you said you were stalking us. What gave you that push up the ramp over there to finally just get in here and do what you already had 7 to 8 years of experience doing?
Yeah, so I was deeply unhappy with myself at that time. I'll say, I know we're going to get into this in a little bit, but I have spent my entire life talking about my weight, thinking about my weight, wondering what other people think about my weight, reading about how to be smaller, and so going through CrossFit, and I had lost a lot of weight, and then I put it all back on, and that's not a unique story. A lot of people do that. So I had just gotten to a point where I thought, man, here I was, I was doing box jumps. I was okay at double unders, not okay. I was getting better at them. I could eke out maybe 20. I was, my deadlifts were getting closer to 300 than 200, and it was great. And then it would just all went away because of choices I was making, right? So I was really just unhappy with myself, just looking at myself and just not even aesthetically, but just how I felt. My husband and I would just go on a walk around the block, and I was having trouble keeping up with him. And we weren't even walking fast. so just thinking about that, and around that time, about 6 to 8 weeks before I joined, I hired a health coach through an account that I followed on Instagram. And it was an account where I just really aligned a lot with everything they posted. And so I was like, well, maybe this is it. Maybe I've spent a lot of money on this in my life. And so what's a little bit more? And so I hired this health coach through this company, and it ended up being awesome. And so one day I was chatting with her about just getting back into exercise, and I said, I think I'm going to join CrossFit again. And I had already been, following you guys on Instagram and things like that. So I think about things for a really long time. And then when I decide to do them, it's done. So maybe I could think about something for 6 months. And if I'm going to do it and I think I'm going to do it, it's going to happen very quickly after that. So as soon as I said, I think I'm going to go back to CrossFit, I think that week I had contacted you about joining. So
that's awesome. You put it into the universe, and then it snowballed from there.
Right. I speak it, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, this is what we're doing now.
That's awesome. Yeah. You have no idea how many times I am talking to people, whether they're new or whether they've been here a long time and they're kind of making a shift in their, their fitness or their health journey. Like, speak it into existence. That's why Gavin and I painted the wall back there.
Yeah.
And I had him put the big 2026, and I'm encouraging people, put it out into the universe, because then it's going to get you talking about it. It's going to get you more motivated to just chase it, as opposed to just if it's in your head. And that's no different than in the gym, in business, in life. If it's in your head, it's not real yet. If you speak it into existence, you write it down, you start to work towards it.
Yeah. And tell people. If you start telling people something you're thinking about, then they ask you about it.
Yes. They hold you accountable. Yeah. Very cool. So, what are some of your favorite things that we do here, within the walls of the gym?
Yeah.
That, we'll talk about the other 23 hours of your day in a little bit, but the hour that you're here, what are some of your most favorite things here?
So, can I say the stickers? Everyone knows I love the stickers. I love the stickers. I hope they never go away.
I expected you to say power cleans or something. You said collecting my stickers. Okay, tell us what is the sticker all about?
So the stickers, one thing I love is that so when you come for 14 classes in a month, you get a sticker and you're in the committed club. And I think it's great. And I especially love, and I remember telling this to my health coach, I said, I love that it's 14. Because 14 might not seem like a lot to some people, but it's enough that you can still live your life. I have been it allows you to go on vacation for a week and come back. And it allows you to have just a really hard week where life gets in the way sometimes, or for you to be sick or whatever. And you can still have that achievement. So I tell people about the stickers sometimes. They're like, oh, great, stickers. There's a star chart or something. And I'm like, no. Let me show you the stickers. And I know people put them on their water bottles, but I actually have been hoarding mine. I don't know what to do with them. They're just in a row on a bookshelf at home. And every month I get one, I put one, and I haven't missed. So I did not get one the very first month I was here, but after that I have not missed one. And so now I'm committed to not doing that. And obviously if something came up and I really, really couldn't, I would just have to accept that. But I love the stickers. I love that, and I don't even know if you do this on purpose, but you have such a variety of people that are represented on your social media account. So I don't know if that's a conscious decision or you just do it, but I love that the top 10% of people, athletes in here, are not the only people on there. So you have young people, you have the teens, you have the people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, you have people in larger bodies, smaller bodies, more traditionally fit looking bodies, so if somebody was looking at the page and said maybe, if they're uncomfortable with their body or whatever, they could see, oh, wow, there's people that look like me there. And so I really love that happens. And also, I love bench presses. So
there you go.
Yeah.
There's the answer I really thought we were going to get.
I know I took an aside, but my favorite movements are bench presses and dumbbell snatches. So anytime we have those, I'm happy. I really like those.
That is a dangerous couplet. Not a calorie in sight on the rower or the bike or whatever. That's awesome.
They're okay. Well, when I had my injury and I could only, well, actually, this goes back to 2020 at my old gym. We had something that we affectionately called the squares of success. And so everybody had their square that they could work out in, and all the squares had the things. And I'm not an early, I don't show up early. I show up on time or maybe like a minute early. So every time I would get to the gym, inevitably, the only squares that were left had bikes in them. And so I was okay with the bike after that. At first, like the first few weeks, I'm like, oh, the bike again. Of course, the bike again. I have to get here earlier if I want a rower. And then I just had an injury at the beginning of this year, and all I could do was ride the bike. And so, me and the bike are okay, honestly. It's fine.
You're not afraid.
I'm not afraid of Don't be afraid of the bike. It's not that bad. And you get an air conditioning. So it's like a little air conditioning when you're on it.
Yes, because I don't know if the viewers can see, I am feeling that we do not have it. At least on this side of the building. I don't know if you've noticed. The other side is significantly cooler.
No, I have not noticed that.
Take a little walk sometime.
If you want to cool down, I don't know, get on the bike.
Yeah. So with I'm glad you mentioned that with our social media, because that is absolutely that is a choice that I made. For as long as I was running it, and then Gavin did it for a while. Dom is in charge of it now, and it's absolutely a choice to highlight every kind of individual that's in here.
Yeah,
because we don't want to isolate everybody. And I'll just keep using Dom as the example. If across the 7 days it's 7 pictures of him doing muscle ups and 225 snatches, like how many people are going to be turned away? And I think the mission of the gym is to help people find find fun in fitness and make them better every day.
Yeah.
It's not just catchy phrases. We're trying to help people and impact as many people as possible. We can't do that if we're only highlighting like the cool, sexy things that you see like Matt Fraser doing. So yeah, I'm glad that you noticed that, because it's a conscious decision, and there's a lot of effort that goes into the variety of stuff that we put out there.
Yeah. And it is fun to see the Doms of the world and the Matt Frasers of the world. I love watching them. It's really cool to see what they can do. And then on, the other side is like for the average person. I consider myself an average person, that doesn't have a ton of time to put into, fitness or whatever. I get my hour, and then I try to make conscious, good decisions throughout the day. But for those people to like come in and I love watching the cool stuff. When I see people doing muscle ups, I'm like, wow, that's really neat. But then to see all the modifications, okay, well, not yet, maybe not ever, I don't know, but here's some things we can do. And so I really like that. Yeah.
So let's pivot a little bit.
Yeah.
We recently had a check-in, and I feel like every time that we get together and we talk over your in-body scan and the numbers and everything, like I'm always surprised for some reason how you and I think very similar about nutrition and lifestyle habits and everything that goes involved with that. So that is really where this episode kind of, I guess you can say, began. Outside of fitness, you have a pretty awesome journey, lots of steps and lots of, I guess, insight into the 23 hours, like I said earlier, the 23 hours that you're not in here, and how you can either sabotage yourself or you can take steps to, continue to improve your health. So what are some things, you said you mentioned you had a health coach. What are some other things that you've done to help with your physical fitness, with your health?
So one of the biggest things that I started doing probably around the time that I got my health coach was just meal prepping. I started usually on Sundays. I'm a teacher, so right now do it kind of whenever I feel like it, but it often happens on Sundays. I make breakfast that will carry us for 3 days out of the week, and I will grill chicken or cook, on the stove for salads throughout the week. If there's something else, kind of depends on what we're having for dinner. I usually have it planned, but if it's something I can make ahead, I will, just so those things are ready. I tend to eat, and I know this doesn't really work for everybody, but I tend to eat a lot of the same things. I do not mind having the same lunch 5 days in a row. So that kind of takes a lot of guesswork and a lot of brain power out of things where I think, okay, how much, how many calories does this thing have? Because I do count calories. It comes and goes. Sometimes I'll do it, and then if I feel like I'm slipping, or I'll stop doing it. And if I feel like it's slipping a little bit, I'll go back. And so I do that. One of the biggest game changers when I first started working with her was weighing my food. I cannot emphasize this enough. It's funny when you start out with something, you're like, I'm never going to do that. I was like, I'm never going to count my calories. I was really trying hard not to count calories. And I don't want to make that seem like the end all be all, but if you are trying to lose weight on purpose, it is important to know how many calories you're consuming. So I started weighing my food rather than, if you look at a serving of potato chips, it's 28 grams or 7 chips or 11 chips or whatever it happens to be. Who knows what that is? So I started weighing everything, and I was probably underestimating my food anywhere from 500 to 800 calories a day. It was just crazy. And actually some things I got more than I was giving myself. So it worked that way sometimes. I was like, wow, that's a serving. That's great. But I started doing that, and that was really immediately when I started doing that, I started losing weight, which was crazy to me. That's literally all I had to do for me. This is just one person's story, but that was a big help. I know the big thing was, get 10,000 steps a day. And then the more I was reading, a lot of people seem to think that is not actually necessary. So, and I wasn't getting 10,000 steps every day. So I try to get 8,000 steps a day because I was kind of like, okay, what's a good number that will still, get me there. So I lowered that so I felt more successful in getting those things. And I'm trying to think of what else. Yeah, those are just some major things, having those foods ready to go. Eating the same kinds of meals every day, really cut down on... I really tried to cut down on a lot of snacking. I am a child of the 90s. I have spent a lot of time in Weight Watchers as well. And one thing that I did get from there was she called them, or the leader called them BLTs, and she calls them bites, licks, and tastes. So, one thing was when I'm cooking dinner, I'm not eating while I'm cooking dinner. That makes no sense. Am I perfect all the time? No. Like whatever I'm saying, just know it doesn't happen perfectly all the time. But things like that, where it's like, okay, did I just eat 300 calories of something before, I'm about to sit down in 10 minutes? Like, what am I doing? So just being conscious of things like that. And they ended up being a bunch of small changes that just added up to results.
Yeah. So I think something you just said, being conscious of everything, that's a huge thing. Like we'll have people... and we're trying to get people to take those baby steps, and it could be as simple as like, did you eat a vegetable today? Yeah. So they're not quite at the stage where like we want them to do some weighing and measuring and all that kind of stuff. But to what you said, like there is a point where, are we eating a lot of vegetables? A lot, whatever that means. A lot of vegetables, cool. Are we getting a lot of protein? Again, whatever that means. Like, are we eating protein at every meal? At a certain point, it is definitely helpful. I do it myself at least twice a year just to kind of reset. I weigh and I measure, and right now I'm going through, logging all the stuff in a variety of different apps and all that kind of stuff, to just be conscious, to be aware of what am I actually doing. And then the snacking. The snacking is always the big... for myself, for everybody, it's a big surprise that like, oh, I didn't realize that if I'm snacking, having tiny snacks 3 or 4 times a day, that adds up, and suddenly I'm,
Yeah.
over my what I thought 6 to 800 calories over what I
Yeah.
had anticipated. So, that's the little baby steps, and then once we reach that point, it's never a bad idea to just check in and
Right.
do the
Just
official weigh
make
and
sure
measure.
you're still doing what you were doing, because things just start to slip over time. And I had told my husband, yes, speaking of snacking, I just told him yesterday, we've been having dessert every day. And when I say dessert, I mean, they had these like little ice cream Snickers, like the mini Snickers. And I'm like, man, I've been having one of those every day and I just love it. Or these little Yasso ice creams. I don't know if you've had those. Those are really good.
Yes, yep.
And so we were on our walk last night and I said, man, I love having dessert every day. This is really like, you don't have to say no, but just be aware.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need a gallon of ice cream.
Right.
That's so when you said yes, so yes. I love them because they're small enough. They're like, it's already pre-portioned and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you could search the whole freezer section, and like that's some of the stuff with like the least amount of added sugar and the most natural ingredients. So that's awesome. So sticking a little bit with nutrition.
Yeah.
You have had some experience with GLP1s.
Yes.
Share as much or as little with as you like with your experience with GLP1s.
Yeah, so I'm still currently on Zepbound is what I'm on. I've been on since last November, so about 8 months. I was trying not to go on it. I didn't really want to.
Why is that?
Well, there's an expense. There is just, I was just and I think it's done amazing things, but then in something, I know I talked to you about this in the check-in, which this is like jumping ahead a little bit, but sometimes I think, what happens when I go off of this? So I thought, I know enough, I'm working out, I'm doing the things, at least in the September through May, I am on my feet constantly. I'm busy, I'm active. I shouldn't need this. That's what I was thinking. But I got stuck. I had lost about 60 pounds and I got really stuck. And I felt like I was banging my head against the wall. And I don't know what I was doing or not doing. I don't know if my body was maybe I was eating more than I thought, or I honestly don't know. But that's when I decided to reach out to my doctor and just seek an additional tool to have in my arsenal to help. So I just thought, I don't need this. And this was actually, I had resisted getting a health coach because I thought, I know in my brain, literally everything. Like I said, this has been going on since I was 10 years old. So I know in my brain everything I should know, everything I need to know. Not to say you can't learn anymore, but I knew enough where I thought I should be able to do this. So seeking tools like, with Shauna and then with the GLP-1 ended up helping a lot. So since then, since I've been on that, I've lost another 30 pounds. So I've done a little bit of math just for people who may think it's a magic bullet or it just makes everything easy or you're just going to drop all this weight so quickly. I've lost 30 pounds in the last 8 months. So that is almost 4 pounds a month. So that's about a pound a week roughly. And so that is actually what, when you look at any doctor or a legitimate person that's like, this is how much weight you should be losing. They say what, a half a pound to 2 pounds, I think is high a week, but a half a pound to a pound, maybe a pound and a half a week. So I'm right in there. So I haven't lost any more than, it hasn't been as miraculous weight loss, I should say. Now, that being said, I also really enjoy happy hour. I enjoy pizza. I enjoy dessert. You know, I do enjoy those things too. So could it happen faster? Probably, but I'm okay that it hasn't. You know, because I still have to live my life. I don't want it to be misery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not a doctor. I don't know if you knew
Yeah.
that.
Do you play one on TV?
No.
No.
So I have an idea, thanks to the World Wide Web, which sometimes has a tendency to not tell the truth. What does a GLP-1 do? Like, how does your doctor explain to it, or how is it like worked within your brain and your body?
So there are, and I'm not a doctor either, and you know, this is just my experience, one woman's experience in this. But there are different kinds. There's semaglutide, and that I believe just works on the appetite portion, and then tirzepatide, which is Zepbound, which works on your appetite and something in your brain. And then they actually have another one coming out. It's not FDA approved yet. That I don't actually know what that one's going to do, but we'll see. So it does initially, when I first went on it, it was really interesting because I would eat like a quarter of my food. And I think, oh wow, I'm literally done eating. I don't want any more right now, which was a very unusual experience for me. I'm like a clean plater, you know, so I just didn't want, and I was full. And so that was just the initial getting on the dose. It kind of like shocked me into not wanting to eat or something, which is something they warn you about, where they say, you know, be careful because if you're not eating enough protein, you're going to lose muscle, you're going to lose hair, you know, your skin might start to not look so great. So even if you don't want to eat, you still need to be sure that you're eating. So that was one piece that kind of subdued my appetite. Now, the longer you're on it, of course, you sort of start to even out. And I feel like now my hunger is at a normal level. And I really try to listen to it. You know, if I'm hungry, I will eat something. And if I'm not hungry, I really try not to eat something. So, but the other part, and I think this is where the people that really need this medication, where it really, really helps, is that it helps in your brain. And I'm so glad there's a name for it now, but it's called food noise. And that is a word that's been going around for a few years. I've seen it now, but there was a long time where there was no name for it. And so if you haven't experienced it, it's like the persistent thoughts of food all the time. When you're eating, you're thinking about what you're going to be eating next. You know, you're full and you're like, how, like, you know, you could eat dinner and you are watching TV and you're full, or maybe you take a walk, or maybe you do whatever, you're full. And then while you're watching your show at the end of the night, you're like, oh, I have those chips in there. I have the ice cream in there. I have, you know, those carrot sticks in there, whatever it happens to be. And it's like you never get away from it. And so the GLPs really do help that a lot. And that is a game changer, I think, for a lot of people. So if you have never experienced that, just be thankful, because it's a lot. It's a lot to have that on your mind all the time. And it's nice not having it on your mind.
Opens up some bandwidth for what's really important to you, as opposed to, there is so much, like I've talked about mental health and all that kind of stuff. There's so much that we don't necessarily understand about our hormones and our emotional connection to things, and then it's no different with food. Right. You know, you and I, growing up in the same generation, clean plate club, all that kind of stuff. I get it, and sometimes it is tough. I have zero experience with GLP-1s. I can say, though, that I was against antidepressants for so long, and like, okay, I understand. I was not able to, fix all the things myself. Sometimes medication is a great tool, which is something that you mentioned earlier, to help with things that maybe just it's not as easy as saying like, okay, well, I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I I think you started to talk about it a little bit. It's definitely not a magic pill. From what I understand is, a lot of people experience things like hair loss, or I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong, sarcopenia, where like bone density starts to drop
Oh yeah,
because you
I
don't.
think that's right.
Yeah,
Actually, yeah.
you don't do anything. You
Mm-hmm.
just say, I'm going to lose weight with this medication
Yeah.
and nothing else. So there are a lot of people that get into trouble with that. And then I feel like there's two camps. There's the people that are like, this is it and this is the only thing that I'm doing. But then there's people that like what you're doing. Like it is one of many things that you're using to propel yourself into a better lifestyle and live your best life. So maybe not like what would you recommend, but like how does it fit into how do you like wrap it all up together into your lifestyle choices with like working out and sleep and all that kind of stuff?
So I guess, so I do feel fortunate that I started CrossFit when I did, like back in 2014. I already knew how good exercise felt and like all the benefits it brought to me. And so I knew that as I was I researched a lot before I decided to do it. And then once it was decided, it was decided. I really wanted to take it, but also just keep doing what I was doing. So I joined here before I started taking it by about, I don't know, I'm not going to do the math right now, but it was a little bit before I started doing it. So I do feel fortunate that I had spent time with my health coach. I had spent many years in CrossFit. I had, and actually another thing about just any CrossFit is that any place, like any place you find your fitness, really, when you're surrounded with that kind of environment, it does help everything else. So when I come in here and I see people and they're doing the things, and some people are, working through injuries and they're modifying this way, but like they're showing up, so they're showing up, and then it helps me to want to show up and do my best that day. So I really feel fortunate that I already had the background before they kind of showed up on the scene for weight loss purposes. They've been around for diabetics forever, and for, chronic medical issues. But as far as for weight loss, I feel like I was fortunate to already have a solid background. So I'm like, okay, I need to keep doing what I'm doing. I need to keep getting my protein. I need to keep getting my steps. I'm not changing any of that. I am just adding this in. So I don't really try to let it do a lot of the heavy lifting, so to speak, even though maybe it does.
Pun intended.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I love that it was just something that you added. You already had your routines, your habits, and it was not a replacement for anything. It was just another tool in your tool bag.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. So moving forward, do you think, is it something that you're going to continue? Is it a forever thing? Is it, are you like, hey, next week we're trying something different? What's the plan moving forward?
So I have been actually thinking of that. And so I don't have a goal weight. I have a goal feeling, if you will.
I love that.
I don't know. So I don't know what that is. In my mind, it's maybe like 15 to 20 more pounds, but who knows? Maybe it's right now because I can do things. I'm strong. My blood work is impeccable, so all the things. I do feel healthy now. But so I don't really have a goal, but I have been thinking about what's going to happen because like I said, it is not a cheap medication if you don't have another comorbidity, that they, if you're not diabetic or whatever. So I do see my doctor every 3 months to go over this. I'm not doing this solo. So I have been thinking about talking to him to either switch to a less expensive option or maybe taper down as I get close to maintenance. So I don't know. I know that unless something changes with availability and price and things like that, it's not something I want to stay on forever. It is something I've made happen for now. It's great. Like, it's a great tool, but I do see myself trying to taper off or like find something else that might be effective in a maintenance dose. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that it's not a destination. It's not, hey, I reached this specific number, I'm done with it, and then I plan on staying this way, homeostasis, like for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I love that everything has some sort of like research and strategy before it's well thought out. Which it's medication. Like, this kind of stuff can be hazardous if you're not paying attention to it and you don't know at least a little bit, or you're not working with trusted professionals.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. I think you kind of hesitated a little bit when you said I don't know, and like that's okay.
Yeah.
But it is cool that you're not jumping in or jumping out on a whim.
Right. Yeah. It takes, like I said, it takes me a while to process through things. So it's been a huge help. And I do want to say, like, it's still a struggle sometimes too. I mean, I will tell you, the other day, I think I got 3,000 steps and I watched television most of the day. Now, that is not a common occurrence, but it happened. So, and sometimes, sometimes I still do overeat because something's really, really good and I'm just not paying attention. So things still happen. It's not like everything is just, I don't want to come on here and be like, I'm so good at this, you guys. But something that my health coach and I talked about, and I hope this lands with somebody because it was really, really helpful for me, was to put food in its proper place. And so I think about that a lot. So it's like, okay, cake for breakfast is not food in its proper place, but cake at a birthday party is food in its proper place. A 6-pack every night is not, but a glass of wine with a nice dinner at a restaurant is, so it's kind of like, where does this food belong? And so I really, really try to think of that when I'm thinking, do I have food in its proper place? And not letting, like, the food shouldn't be in charge of you. Should be the other way around. Yeah. So I hope there was something else. I'm sorry. I know I wrote it down, but sorry. Yeah, I don't know. She said something else I thought was really helpful, but maybe I didn't write it down. But that was just something that we had worked on, just having it, and that actually frees up a lot of, people who are scared to go to the birthday party or, scared to go to pizza night. We worked a lot on, I know what it was. They call it becoming a normal eater. And so she's like, I really hesitate to use the word normal, but normal is like overeating sometimes. Normal is being able to have cookies in your house and not eating all of them, or having one of them, or having none of them if you're not feeling it. Or when you have food that you don't really like, and if you struggle with overeating, sometimes you will eat it anyway. Even if it's like the driest cookie in the world, you will eat all of them. So, we talked about like becoming normal about it. Have the cookie. It's normal to want the cookie, but learn that you don't have to have all the cookies. And then, like I said, putting food in its proper place. So I hope that kind of lands with somebody out there because I thought that was really helpful to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And we talk about that a lot with our people that go through our nutrition program is we're not trying to get rid of pizza night.
Right.
Like we're all, we all have lives outside of the gym. And a lot of those lives involve getting together with your friends and all that kind of stuff. So we don't want to just say, like, we're going to eat chicken, broccoli, and rice, and it's going to come in these little containers, and we're doing that 3 times a day, and, no fun. We do want to be normal, whatever that means.
Yeah, I don't exactly know what it means. I kind of do, but, just be, like, cool about it.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to run your
cool.
life. Yeah.
Just be cool. Yeah.
Just be cool about those cookies. And if they're dry, don't eat them. They're not good.
Yeah.
Like,
if I make them and they're dry. Yeah. All right. So let's bring it back to some fitness stuff.
Yeah.
I like to hit everybody with some rapid fire questions. So try not to think too hard about this stuff. What would be your favorite CrossFit movement?
dumbbell snatch.
Dumbbell snatch. What is your least favorite CrossFit movement? Do you look at the workouts beforehand?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
What is going to make you stay in bed?
There was like a 300-foot handstand walk a month ago. I didn't come to that.
But you came today.
I did.
There's handstand walks in class today.
I know. Well, I maybe have come enough. I'm trying to think. If there's actually a lot of running, I will come. I will. But running is just not my jam. I don't enjoy it. Even when we have to run like a half a mile, I'm like, people do this over and over and over and over again in one setting, and I just don't quite get it. But so yeah, maybe if there's an excessive amount of running or an excessive amount of gymnastics. I know that's not one movement, but gymnastics are not.
That's fair.
I have a hard time with those.
That's fair. It's that is fair because kind of the opposite. I love all the gymnastics, but if there's an excessive amount of heavy deadlifts, I'm going to take the day off. So I get it. Who's your favorite coach?
Oh, come on. That's not fair.
Pamela's right around the corner.
Who's my favorite coach? You know what? I love all the coaches, of course. I'm going to go with Kelsey because Kelsey knows my sister, and I just love that connection. And they were at Fit Club together, and that she's one of the first people I met here, and I love her style, and I think she's amazing. So, but I like everybody else too.
Least favorite coach?
Oh, come on.
Don't answer that.
I don't have one, and that's true.
There we go. So barbell or dumbbell?
In general, barbell.
Rower or skier?
Rower. Oh, never the ski. I hate that thing.
Why do you hate the skier?
Oh, it's miserable. I would bike all day before I pick this ski.
Skier or burpees?
How many burpees? Burpees.
Do you have any favorite open workouts or open memories?
Oh, actually, yeah. Okay, so at my old gym, I was doing I don't know what year it was. It was probably circa 2017. And there was one where you had to do some pull-ups, and then you did some cleans, and if you finished it in a certain amount of time, you went to the next step.
Yes, it's a stop gate workout. I'm not 100% on the workouts, but yeah, you do some work, you do some barbell stuff. If it's done in 4 minutes or less, you put more weight on the bar. So if you're time capped,
you stop.
Yeah.
If you're not, you go. And I finished, I think I made it the farthest in that class. And I had amassed a crowd. And I don't actually usually like amassing a crowd. Usually I'm just like, leave me alone. Do not look at me. If there's like a for time workout and I'm the last one, please do not come and cheer me on. I will just finish and it'll be done. But I had gotten a crowd, and I was doing the scaled version, which is great and fine. But I was working so hard, and every lift that I did, people were like, yeah. And I'm like, I feel like Tia Claire Toomey right now.
There you go. Yes.
So that was really fun. That was a fun open workout day.
Those are some of my favorite open memories, where it's like you're impressing yourself, and then like everybody else that's around, like their jaws are on the floor.
Yeah.
Everybody's just having a wild time, and it's something about the open and the adrenaline and everything makes you perform just a little bit better, which is awesome. Shoot, I had a follow-up question about that, but I can't remember. I'll probably ask you as soon as we stop recording. Any mantras or anything that you any pep talks you give yourself before a workout?
No, like right before a workout starts.
Yeah, or like maybe you're walking up the ramp to work out, or if you know, okay, when I pick this bar up, I could potentially hit a new PR.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, okay, so like yesterday we had that workout where we had to do the 3 lifts. And so when I got to the overhead squat, I actually did have to psych myself up because that is not my best movement. It's not most people's best movement, let's face it. So I got it up above my head, and then I really started to psych myself out, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to balance, and so about a third of the way down, I was like, no, you've done this before and you can do it again. And I actually did 2 of the same weight, and the first one I made, but I didn't think it was a very nice one, so I just wanted to do it again. I'm like, okay, I just did an ugly version of this. I can do a clean version of this, So yeah, sometimes I just have to tell myself, you've done this before and you can do it. And then especially if I'm coming in and I know that it's a workout that I really don't want to do. Like maybe anytime I see 100, if I see 100 written on the board, I'm just immediately like feel overwhelmed when I come in there. It's like, 100 wall balls, especially 100 wall balls, or 100 box jumps, 100 burpees. So sometimes I just tell myself, I'm here, I'm going to move for an hour, and I'm going to do my best. If my best is 80 wall balls that day, like that's okay. But half the time I get into the workout and then all that goes away once I start moving a little bit. And I'm like, I actually can do 100 wall balls. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
you can do hard things and just start, and that's.
So I know that's not really a mantra, but it's just how I approach it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. You find something simple to tell yourself so that the difficult things don't prevent you from doing it. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. So if there is somebody who they're on the fence, they know like I got to make some kind of a lifestyle change. I've got goals. Could be weight loss, could be strength, could be whatever. But they just either don't know what to do, they're a little bit nervous or scared, whatever it is. Any advice for that person if they are listening today?
You just have to rip the Band-Aid off sometimes and do it. So for me personally, rest, food, exercise, enjoyment, all of those are tied in together. So I enjoy myself more when I feel good. I eat better when I'm exercising. I rest better when I've exercised because I'm tired at the end of the day. So all of those things just go together. So if somebody is not happy, this is another phrase I've seen going around, but it's like, choose your hard. What do you want to be hard? I was not happy 90 pounds ago. That was hard. So you have to do it. And I love exercise. I think it's the greatest. So you have to find whether it's CrossFit or yoga or Pilates, or like, if you just want to go out and run, like find what you like that you can keep doing. Like, I tried to make myself into a runner maybe 10 years ago. I started with a couch to 5K and I lasted maybe 3 days. And then I read a magazine article and it said, if you hate running, don't do it. And I was like, wow, wow. Like, so it gave me this permission. So I'm not saying like, you know, of course I come in here and I run and I ran my 2 miles in Murph and that was huge for me. But I was like, you mean to tell me that I don't have to make myself run 3 miles a day if I hate it? Like, that's crazy.
That is the only way.
So, and some people love it. You know, I work with somebody who runs like 7 miles in the morning and that's what she does. And so that's great. So my whole point is like, find something that you can do. And if you can find a friend to do it with you, all the better. I know when I started in 2014 in New Albany, I got my sister to come with me. And she ended up like being a coach down at Fit Club and so she's still doing it. And if she hadn't been there, and I don't know actually if she feels the same, I think she might, but for probably the first 6 months, if she couldn't go, I couldn't go. You know, I just would not go alone. And the people there were awesome. That it was my fear. So, you know, if you can find people to do it with you, like that's the best.
So just rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
And if you need to, find somebody to help you rip the Band-Aid off.
Find somebody to help, like reach out, find a community, and I'm a social person. I'm a community-oriented person. I think life is done better that way. And that's for me. Maybe some introverts would disagree. I don't know. But you really have to find what you can sustain. And that's just the way it is. So that's my advice. Like, find what you can sustain and then do it every day or 6 days a week, you know? Yeah. That's my advice.
14 in a month.
14 in a month.
14 in a month. Awesome.
I love the stickers. Did I mention that?
Yes. Yes. Well, Katie, thank you very much
You're
for
welcome.
Sitting down with me. It's been an absolute pleasure. And if you would like to get to know Katie more, you know where we are. Come join us at Delaware Fit Factory. She's here at least 14 times every month.
At minimum.
Yep. But yes, Katie, thank you so much. I'm
You're
looking
welcome.
forward to seeing
That's
the
great.
progress that continues to come.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.